Clone Wars.
Yeah. Also, before we continue, spoilers. That's a thing. Spoiler alert: if you have not seen Tales of the Empire
Or the Clone Wars, but
or the Clone Wars or Rebels, or Ahsoka, there's definitely some hints and stuff like that, or the Mandalorian. If you've seen any, if you have not, yeah, we're doing great so far.
Oh my goodness.
Try this again.
TNMP, the Nerdy Misfit Podcast, with your hosts, Connor O'Neill and Matthew Hughes.
Whoa! Turn my phone off to silent.
I'm gonna do the same. Yeah, we're good. All right.
Okay, we're good. We're good.
Cool.
We're live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Nerdy Misfit Podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Connor.
And welcome back to episode 106, a.k.a. Season 2, Episode 6. And Connor, today we're recording on May 4th, so may the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with all of the fellow nerdy misfits out there. If you are a Star Wars fan, enjoy it. It's also Free Comic Book Day. So go support your local comic book shop, pick up a free comic book, maybe pick up a couple, stories you've been interested in reading too, and support your local shop for sure. Matt stopped by there today. We'll get into that later in the episode.
Yeah.
But actually, I think we should start off this episode with an announcement, which is our team
is growing.
Has grown by one.
Yes. I'll take it.
We recently had a fellow misfit, someone who's been on, fellow creator, someone who's been on the podcast before, who has joined us in the behind the scenes, and that would be Eddie or Ebats if you recognize him from the episode. And yeah, we're happy to have Eddie join us. He'll be doing a lot of helping with editing, also
Shorts,
ideas.
He'll probably come on the podcast soon.
He'll probably be on the podcast a few more times for sure, but we just want to give him a shout out because although you guys may not know, we just want to make sure that he knows he's appreciated. We appreciate the extra help. There's a lot going in behind the scenes for sure. You don't see. So
shout out to Ebats.
Shout out to Ebats. Welcome to Misfit Island.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard the Nerdy Misfits. So big shout out to Eddie. Other than that, we've got what are we talking about? We're talking about some Star Wars stuff. It's May the 4th, so we may as well.
But before that, we did a run, our haul run. It's been a while. We haven't ever even really done like a full.
No,
we haven't done like a full haul, but it's been a while since you and I have ventured to chapters.
Yes, been a while.
So we finally did.
We stopped by chapters. We stopped by the manga section. We stopped by the fantasy section. And we picked up.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm boring you.
You're not sorry. Just let it yawn.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Do you need to go home and take a nap? Should we try again later?
Sorry, guys.
So we picked up a few things. Matt, I guess we have them here.
We have them here. So
mostly because it's not memorized.
Exactly, it's not memorized. Sorry. Okay, so graphic novel wise, from our local comic book store, Big B Comics. There you go. I picked up 3 volumes of Trinity of Sin: The Phantom Stranger. I think this is all of it. I think there was only 3 volumes. It was New 52.
You're collecting a lot of New 52. That's kind of what you've been.
It's my shtick right now. Yeah, I have an entire shelf dedicated to New 52.
Snagging when you go in.
Exactly. If they're on sale, I'll grab them.
Or even at what's that? We have that one kind of like outlet store ish for.
Not anymore.
It's gone.
It's gone.
But it was good for picking up New 52.
Yeah, you can still do it online. It's just the physical location's gone, which is kind of rough. But otherwise, yeah. So I picked up Trinity of Sin.
He likes to go in person. He doesn't want to buy anything online. He doesn't trust anyone.
It's not that I don't trust anyone.
He pays in cash.
I live off the grid. Except for the podcast. So I picked up those. I also picked up a new Star Wars graphic novel, High Republic, called Shadows of Starlight. 4 issues, so that'll be fun to read. Big Star Wars High Republic fan. Picked up 2 Power Ranger graphic novels. So we got Mighty Morphin Volume 6 and then Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Recharged Volume 1.
But that's not the only Power Ranger related content you got.
No, I did not. Technically, yes. Technically, no. I picked up Go Go Loser Ranger
Volume 1, which is currently airing.
Creator of the Quintessential
Quintuplets.
I did not know that.
but it's
currently airing.
Currently airing this season.
You can watch on Disney Plus if you got Disney.
Apparently, it's on Disney Plus.
So that's all for the manga and comic book related. And then I picked up Brandon Sanderson book Mistborn, first of the Mistborn trilogy. And then I also picked up an original novel called The Hunger, which is based on Marvel Zombies,
which was oddly in
the manga section.
Which someone definitely put there when they were looking around.
Cover's pretty dope. Show it there. I like the cover.
Very nice, very nice.
And yeah, that was my haul. But Connor, what's your haul like?
So mine's just all manga. Surprise. It's been a while. So usually when we go to our chapters, as you'd imagine, most of it is usually popular stuff, like things that are very popular.
Yeah.
Or things that are just starting to air or just recently aired for seasons based anime.
That's
just people when that's the whole point. Ranger. It's the whole point of anime is it's a promotion for the written content.
Mm-hmm.
So our chapters is usually more focused on that. It's on the biggest manga section ever. So it is rare to see a good amount of Hunter x Hunter volumes. So they did have some in today. So I picked up volume 7 and volume 13. Which
is good because you're slowly trying to collect it.
Slowly working at it.
I think you're 8 out of 37 volumes?
Yeah, I don't have many. I'm caught up for the most part. I saw that actually Takashi recently was tweeting. I think he's tweeted 4 or 5 days in a row now of progress on the next chapter. So maybe we'll see some more Hunter x Hunter soon.
To give people context, the Hunter x Hunter the writer takes a lot of breaks, obviously for health reasons, I believe.
Often on hiatus.
And a big thing too is he's very dialogue heavy from what I've seen.
Yeah, he can be very dialogue heavy for sure.
Moving on,
we'll do another thing that I'm slowly collecting but not up to date, and that's One Punch Man.
Nice.
So I picked up 4 and 5. This one's much more in line in order.
Yeah.
Usually when we stop by, they do have ones further on.
But you'll get there when you get there.
But yeah, I'm more like, I need, for example, I have 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, they have 4, 5. If they had 6, I would have picked up 6 too. But they only had 4, 5.
Yeah, you're not in a rush to pick it up.
I'm just going as I'm in order as I see them. Things that I am actually up to date and collecting would be Dan. Picked up volume 7, Jujutsu Kaisen volume 22.
Dang.
And then I also picked up the manga version of the Rascal Does Not Dream series. I picked up volume 3, which is Rascal Does Not Dream of a Logical Witch.
Now each volume is a different dream, not dream, but
think of it like Monogatari, where it's a different a different anomaly that has occurred.
And that show's still going, like, because we've had the season of Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, and then there was a couple of movies, right?
Yes.
And then are they continuing it, do you know? Or
that I'm not too sure on what's going on because I haven't read the light novels, which is the original content or the source material, sorry. So I haven't caught up with that. Okay. So I'm not entirely sure how much more it is. I just know that the first season I really enjoyed. I know that it had a lot of hype there in that first season. It's definitely dropped off immensely, I think. Like obviously we have the movies, but I don't think it's nearly as popular as it was.
Okay.
But I definitely enjoyed it. It's definitely one of my favorite series for sure. Very fun. A lot of sarcastic humor, which I like. The back and forth.
Watch list for me.
Back and forth between the main characters is great as well. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so a good chunk of manga volumes. There are other things that I'm collecting that either weren't there or that I'm in no rush to collect. But there was some interesting stuff there. Not often. Am I boring you?
No,
again?
You're not boring. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh dear. There was Poon Poon, which
you were surprised about.
Almost is never at the our specific chapters. At least I think I've maybe seen
like a random
one-off volume of it. But they basically had everything except volume 1 there. Some of which even had more than one volume, like more than one of the. I think there's 2 volume 2s.
Yep, I think so as well.
If I was a not kind person, I probably would have picked those up and resold them for above MSRP. Yeah. But I'm a good person and I love those things.
Leave that for someone else.
Plus, I
already own it.
Yeah. But that was nice to see. Obviously, there was some nice, the usual stuff. JoJo is there always, but it was nice to see something harder to get, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not aware if there has been any recent reprints of Poon Poon, and maybe that's why they're there.
Could be
But
popularity going up.
or
somehow.
someone maybe requested it.
Yeah.
And they didn't end up buying it, so they put it on the shelf.
Could be. There's a lot of different options, right?
Whatever it ends up being, but it was nice to see. We also checked out some Lego, and we decided that was too expensive.
Yeah, I'd love to make Lego. Love to have money enough to just enjoy and buy
Lego is great.
But
I
did buy 2 Lego figures actually, the 2 mini Lego figs.
2 of the same Lego figures.
I got a double, so you can kind of see. You can't really see him, but if you're watching a video, you can see it right here. But it's kind of glaring. But
here we go.
There we go. Boom! Look how tiny. It's a very tiny Lego man.
Very tiny Lego person.
Baby Lego spaceman. Anyways, so the reason for this episode, as you can probably see by the title, probably
is that we do an episode every week.
We do an episode every week, and guess what? Here we are back at again with another episode. This one is specific Star Wars based. We wanted to wait a little bit for people to try to watch it, so it's not like right after the season comes out. But we're discussing a new show that came out called Tales of the Empire. Now, a year ago, Disney came out with Tales of the Jedi. That one was mostly Ahsoka and Count Dooku based.
Yes. And it was good.
It was good. I enjoyed most of the episodes. If you're a big fan of Count Dooku and Ahsoka,
check it out.
You know?
Or you just like Star Wars lore.
You know? Especially animated. If you're a fan of Clone Wars or Rebels,
the style,
the stylistic choices of it. But this season was Tales of the Empire. It was 6 episodes, the average episode being like 15 minutes, I guess. And the description is just a journey into the fearsome galactic empire through the eyes of 2 warriors on divergent paths.
Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty accurate summarization.
I mean, you're following Morgan Elsbeth navigate through the expanding Imperial world toward a path of vengeance. While those are the first 3 episodes, the next 3 episodes was following former Jedi Barriss Offee.
Which I think is what most people were... I don't want to I feel like that's what most people were excited for.
I agree. I mean, to me, I enjoyed those episodes more. She's a very interesting character because if you've watched Clone Wars, you know that she was arrested at some point.
She betrayed the Republic and the Jedi Council, and she also betrayed a friend since she basically set up Ahsoka to take the fall. Basically a terrorist attack.
Pretty much, yeah.
So it was interesting to see kind of like what was going on through the POV after Clone Wars.
Yeah, also, before we continue, spoilers, that's a thing. Spoiler alert, if you have not seen Tales of the Empire.
Or the Clone Wars, but
or the Clone Wars, or Rebels.
Or Ahsoka.
There's definitely some hints and stuff like that. Or The Mandalorian. If you've seen if you have not,
Well, I don't know what you'd be watching if you haven't seen some of that content, to be honest, but anyways.
But we digress. So what do you think overall? I feel like
I thought the animation was good. Yep. Like you said, the first 3 eps that were more focused around like kind of
Morgan
and the Night Sister kind of thing, and
it's
not my
favorite part of Star Wars lore.
The Night Sisters are very interesting.
The Dathomir, everything like that.
They are pretty, and they're very powerful.
Yeah,
that we've come to know. So they are important. They're not my favorite, but I know some people really like them.
Yeah, if you're a fan of Darth Maul or Ventress.
I mentioned this to you before recording, which is it did feel like she needed some extra lore added to her character. I'm sure maybe in some of the books it could potentially be covered.
I think she's mostly, from what I know, she's mostly just in the expanded lore of like the Mandalorian and stuff. That was her first animated appearance.
It just gave her a little bit more. It gave more context to the character, why she's the way she is. Like you mentioned in kind of like the summary, it's like a path of vengeance, and now we know why she's like that.
Yeah, exactly.
You get to see what she loses, who she loses, and she just kind of carries that weight throughout her life. And she bumps into Admiral Thrawn, and he's a very good manipulator. So he basically just takes advantage of someone that falls into his lap in terms of like, hey, I can use this person. She's
my advantage,
powerful,
and
I can use it to just further my own plot and power. So
Agreed.
I know that you're not a big Admiral.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just never. I don't know. It's because I haven't really seen Rebels. Like I've never fully sat.
He's
through
definitely
Rebels.
just like your. He's kind of like Emperor Palpatine in a way where it's like a schemer.
Yeah.
He's a schemer.
He's a junior Palpatine. Palpatine Junior.
And he may not be a Sith Lord, but he is very calculated, uses people, manipulates people.
It's more of like the political side.
Yes, exactly. He's very intelligent, and he's very like the chess master or the puppet master. He's like, I'm controlling all of these different areas of the world, but I'm also, I have my hand in this cookie jar, hand in this, and I have an agent here, an agent here, an agent here, and I predict that this, and this will happen.
That makes sense.
And that'll lead to this, which will allow me to further my own plan.
Yeah.
He's very meticulous like that. And it is interesting, but he leaves, I don't know, there's something that's left to be desired. Maybe it's because you never really see him truly fighting.
Yeah.
Not that people have, different people fight with he fights with his brain. I understand that. But in the Star Wars world, we do get a lot of people, whether they're intelligent or not, fight.
Yeah.
And he's always using other people to fight. Or if he does end up fighting, it's in a situation in which he has the upper hand because maybe he has hostages or he's fighting an injured person. Who knows? Like he's definitely a good villain.
Yeah.
For sure. It's just, he's just not my favorite because I don't like the style, but
yeah, it's just not our story when it comes to Star Wars, Very similar to the first 3 episodes. Thought the animation was good. Again, just the character, just don't really care too much.
Well, it was cool. Obviously, the eye for detail was kind of nice.
Yeah.
When we see her, and the Admiral kind of sets it up for her to be able to protect herself, to see if she can fend for herself, and she's obviously using the spear that's made out of the metal. I forget what the metal's called. I'm sorry.
It's on my tongue, but
I'm not a huge
lore,
Star Wars lore, but it's made out of the metal that the Mandalorians
use.
And is it Beskar?
Beskar, yeah, I think so.
Something like that. But she uses that spear in the Mando when we first see her, which is when we first see Ahsoka, because Ahsoka fights her.
Mm-hmm.
So some of that details were nice to see. Like it's obviously because, let's face it, we have seen different things use animated content into live action or live action to animated, and things are missed. And it was nice to see some eye for detail for, hey, this is the weapon she was using, and this is the weapon she was using. This is connected to
this. And I think that's both good and bad in comparison, because it gives you, because when you're watching these 3 episodes, there's no set timeline. Like, it doesn't tell you when it's happening. But those are the details.
Yeah, I found that was a lot more noticeable in the later 3 episodes.
Yeah, definitely.
Where some of the timelines didn't feel like they were adding up as much, or all it needed was this much time.
Yeah. BBY, before Battle of Yavin.
Or something, right? Because if you go to the other story, we see we basically see Order 66 occurring.
Yep.
And then from there, we just jump right into being recruited as an Inquisitor.
Yeah, it just goes like, I don't know how long that time jump is.
Yeah, I haven't read any. So if you guys are much bigger Star Wars fans than Matt or I, and you know the answer to this, we would love to have you join our Discord. The link will be in our link tree below. And drop a comment in our Star Wars chat to let us know about this specific scenario in time. Is the Grand Inquisitor, was he already set up by Palpatine to be a part of the dark side and know the goal that would be to eliminate future Jedi?
Well, I think it's based on the show now, it's canon that the Grand Inquisitor and the 4th sister, whatever their number was, were created pre-Order 66. But
because I always thought the Inquisitors were something that Darth Vader wanted.
That's a good point.
At least that's what I thought.
Yeah. I think the Inquisitor was pre-Order 66, but most of the sisters and stuff were post.
Because I thought that Emperor Palpatine was not a big fan of having the Inquisitors.
But I guess you kind of have to...
Because in a way, they're using the dark side, right?
Yeah.
So that's just leeching power from him and Vader.
That's true.
I always thought they were more like a Vader project, but I could be wrong. Like I said, correct us if we're wrong, if you're a bigger fan. But yeah, I found the timing was a little weird. It would have been nice to know how far was this, or was it straight up like, hey, this person's already shown that they're not a Jedi. They're against the Jedi. Easy target to turn.
Yeah.
But
you have a big gap, right? There's 16 years basically?
Yeah. And the crazy part is the only reason in her own mind, the reason that she did what she did was because she thought the Jedi have gone against who the Jedi were.
Yeah.
Which is true in a way.
It's true. No, she's not wrong.
And like Ahsoka also feels that way, especially after just being wrongly accused and basically was almost was sentenced to death and was potentially going to be killed.
Yeah.
And she's just kind of like, this is not what I thought I joined. Even though they never had a choice.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, when does the last episode take place?
Yeah.
Like that, I think that when you're thinking of the timeline, I think like, because I can at least pinpoint, hey, episode 4 is Revenge of the Sith time. Like Order 66, we see
Order
it,
66,
right?
we see it happening.
And then into episode 5, when she fully becomes more the Inquisitor and stuff like that, you're like, okay, that's got to take place Rebels time, New Hope time, right? But then when you get to the last episode and it's like she's living on some planet, she's been established because people know who she is.
And she looks much older.
And she looks a bunch older.
But then the Inquisitor that come doesn't look that much older. I thought that was a little weird.
So maybe
the dark side keeps you young. I mean,
look at
Palpatine.
So I think
okay, we're on the same page.
We understand. So what I'm thinking maybe is that we could see her in a live action appearance again in like Ahsoka.
The ending was quite open for interpretation, for sure. Maybe potential seeing first time live action versions of some characters.
Exactly. I think just don't. It's open for interpretation, like you said. For my personal opinion, for the last 3 episodes, obviously the better half of the season for sure. The animation on the final episodes seemed off at points, in my opinion, just like slightly. But I think it was mostly just the effects.
Yeah.
Like the snow kind of thing like that kind of gave me
a
weird vibe. Bit. Like the weird shorter alien looked a little off to me. But that's just me.
I didn't notice anything for that.
But
what did you... I thought one scene that was good but also bad in terms of like it... I felt bad was the scene where Lynn just kills the room full of people.
Yeah.
And it really shows like the loss of humanity that the Inquisitors have.
Oh, it's insane. Well, the Inquisitor forces it into them, right?
Well, it's forced into them. Obviously, we've seen that certain Inquisitors also are... Some were a lot easier to transition to becoming an Inquisitor than others. Mm-hmm. Some are a lot more, I guess, tortured, you would say, and then like manipulated into becoming such. But it's just seeing them, like you see, enter. She's lied to.
Yep.
And once she's lied to, she's like, nope, and it just kills a bunch of innocent people because you're against the...
Well, even like if you go to episode 5, right, where she's trying to talk to the Jedi to be like, no, like, give up.
Yep.
And the Jedi was about to, and then the sister comes over and just...
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. Sister Lynn comes in and just is like, nope.
You're done, kid.
Nope, doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah, Sister Lynn was brutal. But very, like, good for the Inquisitor.
Yeah. An Easter egg I want to point out for what I enjoyed of the first 3 episodes, is that the first 3 episodes are called The Path of Fear, The Path of Anger, and The Path of Hate. And if you remember, Yoda says a quote that says, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate. So I thought that was like... And hate leads to suffering, whatever, right? Yeah. I think that's very interesting because if you look at the first 3 episodes, obviously you see the fear, the anger, the hate, and then the last 3 episodes you see the suffering, but just from a different character's point of view.
Yeah, different point of view.
Yeah,
like you said, the first 3 episodes, like there were some good themes overarching, but for the most part, it didn't feel like the story was as good.
Yeah.
It did feel a little bit more... It felt more like it was this really new character that didn't have as much history to it already.
Yeah, definitely.
And it did give some explanations, but I really do feel like I I'm sure some of the fans of Morgan probably are happy to see it, but
yeah, it's one of those things, right? But you can say the same thing about Tales of the Jedi. If you're not an Ahsoka fan or Count Dooku fan,
yeah, I think it was more. Think of the Morgan story more as she was there to, like you said, show the general themes of what's being told, and she was just that vessel that was used for it.
I think this will play more into whatever the next bit of the Mandalorian Ahsoka Book of Boba Fett story is, because I know in that sub-universe that Dave Filoni's doing, they're making it so like Thrawn is the big bad, and obviously she's probably going to come back. So I think this could just be like a little extra snippet of how it's going to connect all together. And you can kind of say the thing about the next 3 episodes too. Like if Barriss Offee is going to come back, she's going to come back in that show probably.
Yes, or
Ahsoka season 2, something.
There was definitely more of an attachment to the Barriss. Obviously, her story, if you've seen Clone Wars, like, well, she's like, you see her multiple times through, and that's why her portrayal is so crazy.
Yeah,
because she comes off as this very peaceful, very by the book. Because obviously, Ahsoka and Anakin are not by the book.
Oh gosh, no.
And she's been trained more by the book. Is like kind of like, what's going on with these two? These is not how the Jedi do things. Like is
not
normal.
from a Jedi.
But obviously, she ends up going her own path.
Yeah.
So I just found her story a lot more interesting. Obviously, very cliche in a way. Also, she betrayed the Jedi because of XYZ. Then she joins the dark side and joins the Inquisitors, but realizes that this is really evil.
Yeah.
Then finally finds peace in a village, helps a village, and then I guess also changes another Inquisitor to kind of the era of the ways, and it kind of was like a very, very streamlined, quick version of a full circle from bad, good, like,
yeah, I know what you mean.
Which was a bit cliche, but
it
was nice to see her and see kind of
redemption,
what exactly happened, and it was a kind of a interesting from a history perspective of Star Wars to see what did happen to some of the criminals. Because when I first watched Clone Wars, my thought process was that she was just going to be killed.
Yeah.
Because that's what they were going to do to Ahsoka.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a little bizarre that she has been imprisoned, but you could also argue that they never got to it because there's a lot of stuff going on. They're kind of at war and blah, 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 and then Order 66. But it was interesting to see that perspective of like, hey, this person's in prison. This obviously is a known fact to Emperor Palpatine, Lord Vader, etc. And then to see how they recruited some of the Inquisitors.
Yeah.
Because obviously this is not someone that they just picked up as at birth or something.
Yeah, exactly. Which they talk about.
Yeah, and they do. And some of the kids they get rid of, but some of them obviously they bring in with potential to be like, okay, we're going to make them... Because they use Inquisitors, but then they get rid of all the Inquisitors. Yeah, exactly.
Do you think that child's important anyway?
It's hard to say. Star Wars content is very...
That's the big question, because we don't know when that is.
It's very flip a coin.
Yeah.
It could be just...
You mean like that child at the end of Last Jedi?
Yeah, exactly. It could literally just be, this person's a Force sensitive.
That's why we want him.
Or it really could be like, this person's going to end up playing a major role in an animated series or show up in a live action of some sort.
Yeah.
It could happen.
You never know.
And yeah, you never know. That's the scary part about Star Wars. It's hard to predict, and then things you want to happen most often don't.
That's why I'm kind of excited for the Star Wars Acolyte show, which is coming out.
Yes, Acolyte is coming out
2-episode premiere on June 4th.
Yep. Got basically a month.
So we'll be reviewing that probably when the show's done.
And it looks...
New trailer did drop today. I don't know if you watched it.
I haven't watched it, but overall the show looks exciting.
I'm pumped. One of my favorite characters from the High Republic is in it, Vernestra Rowe, so I'm excited for her to get a live action appearance. I'm hoping they're going to discuss her lightsaber whip.
They have to mention it because it'll be
something new.
It's something unique.
And it's a purple lightsaber, which we haven't seen too much of either. So double.
Yeah, but it's just a unique style. So I feel like they'll definitely explain it.
I think outside of Vernestra Rowe, I think all of the other characters are original to the show.
Okay.
Which seems kind of weird to me because they have all the High Republic content. So I think if you're fans of the books, you'd want to see more than just one character have a live action adaptation. So
for sure,
could be more Easter eggs, could be more people that are not shown in the trailers and stuff. But yeah, I think otherwise for Star Wars content, I think that's basically it for the year. This and then Acolyte, some new comics and some books and stuff are coming out. I think the High Republic Phase 3 is done this year as well.
Okay, yeah, very
exciting.
nice.
But also now I don't know what Star Wars books to get after this. So we'll see.
You gotta read them first, man.
I'm gonna read through them.
Okay, you gotta read them. Gotta read them.
I'm reading through
Gotta
them,
read
man. I'm reading through them. Don't you worry.
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, Star Wars is definitely. I don't want to say slowing down, but it's going at
It's a healthy rate.
a healthier pace than kind of how Marvel, when MCU was popping off, they just started
very fast.
Yeah, there was a lot of content, a lot of, especially just movies. There was we went from like a movie to maybe 2, and then all of a sudden it was like 3 or 4 movies, and you're like, holy.
I think there was a good like 6 years that there was like 3 Marvel movies a year.
And it's a lot.
Yeah.
So as long as they're putting proper thought into the Star Wars content, which it does feel like sometimes, at least
I did find it funny where
majority of the time it feels like that's what's happening.
Yeah.
There is some thought going into
it's called
why.
Dave Filoni.
Yeah. There's some thought going into it. This is what they want to tell, the story. This is what they want to tell, the characters they want to either introduce or reintroduce, like we've seen now, right? We've seen
Legends
2 characters.
Canon.
We've seen 2 characters we've already seen before, and we got kind of a little bit extra for them, which is nice. So, nice for current fans, but also nice for past fans as well that have seen those older stories.
I did find it funny though. If you watch the credits of it, it was like the first 4 credits were Dave Filoni. It was like supervisor Dave Filoni.
Story by
Dave Filoni, produced by Dave Filoni. Like, dang, this man's getting so many credits. It was just funny.
Well, and the thing is, now that he's so much higher up in that creative department, I'm sure there are tons of stories he wants to tell, because obviously,
oh yeah, definitely.
You look at the Clone Wars, and I'm sure there's tons of characters that he's like, hey, I can now tell that story, or at least, like in this case, do a 3-part miniseries about kind of what happened after this, or a prelude of like why this ended up happening.
Why did this happen the way it happened? Yeah.
Which is nice to see. Obviously, I'm more interested to see what happens for the theatrical releases. I want to see.
I think The Mandalorian's getting a movie.
I want to see.
And we're getting a Rey movie, and I can't remember what the
other.
But
I just want to see Disney in the right direction for full length movies.
Yeah.
Whether it is whatever the next trilogy ends up, I want to see them start with purpose in the right direction with a story in mind.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think that we've got a lot of, I've seen, it's very, obviously Star Wars is very mixed reactions for Star Wars overall, where we have the people that, obviously everyone has their trilogy. I feel like that's a pretty common
either
theme.
Prequel, the original, the
prequels,
sequels.
Originals, or the sequels. But I think we can all agree that the sequels, which are the first trilogy by Disney, there was not a overarching story that was already planned, and that shows.
Yeah, there's hiccups, obviously.
Yeah, I just want whatever the next, doesn't matter what it ends up being about. Everyone has their own desire of what they want, but I just want proper thought
story
going in beforehand to be like, this is what we're telling, and this is what each film will tell,
exactly,
or what should be told throughout.
Exactly, yeah,
and lead to like, this is the beginning, this is the setup, and this is where the goal of what we're getting, because that was obviously not evident in.
Yeah, it started like, I think Force Awakens is a great film.
It was a good starting film. It was a good starting film. A good start to a trilogy.
Start to a new trilogy of bringing new fans in.
Yeah, like we've mentioned when we've had Dan on, not Dan Chan, but the other Daniel, and it had a lot of good paths, and then all those paths were cut.
Yeah, plain and simple.
And then the final movie ended up being if you consider how bad the second film was, the third film.
Some people say The Last Jedi is a great film.
I'm not a very good attempt at salvaging.
Yeah,
has a lot of issues, but it does its best to salvage what was there. And I just want something with a proper thought out story with some care. And honestly, for the Disney execs, just keep your hands off. You've at least shown that now you understand, like you're hiring some of the right people, like Dave Filoni. Just let them take the wheel.
Let them
trust the process.
Filoni take the wheel.
Give them the money.
Give them the money.
Give them the money. And let them make something amazing. And to the Star Wars fans out there, especially as someone who's more of a casual Star Wars fan, let the man cook. I trust Filoni. I've loved everything that he's made or had his hands on.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what they're going to create, and especially excited to see what we'll end up seeing in the big screen. Because especially after seeing something with so much passion and love for the content like Dune was, like I would just want to see something like that for Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know?
I would agree with that 100%.
A love ballad, if you will, to Star Wars. Like
an ode to you.
Like just to see it on the big screen and see all that love, and not just, oh, this is a big IP that we can make money with. But
exactly.
Someone
thoughtful, something that takes the time.
Someone who really cares about this. Like that's the thing that I love about Filoni, is that he loves Star Wars.
Yeah.
He breathes Star Wars.
It's his life.
So even if his content doesn't, or movie, shows, etc., doesn't end up being for everyone, you at least know he's putting his all into it.
Yeah, agreed.
And I'd rather something be a flop, but someone put their passion into it, than it just be a flop because they just knew they could get money from Star Wars fans.
Exactly. Which is unfortunate, but that's the reality of some business ideas.
For sure. But yeah, that's a little shorter on the Star Wars content there, but
yeah, but I mean, stay tuned. I mean, in the month, more than like 2-ish months, we'll have Star Wars Acolyte talk about.
Well, yeah, so a month it'll come out, and then we'll cover it after the actual show is completed.
Yeah.
And we'll probably give it a week, maybe, after the last episode airs. Depends on what the timing ends up being for us.
Otherwise, thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting. Again, we're on YouTube now.
We're on YouTube. We have video. I mean, hello.
Hello, if you're watching this on YouTube. Hello, YouTube.
But yeah, we're on all major podcast platforms. Please drop a follow, drop a rating. It does help the podcast a lot.
We're on TikTok.
If you're listening on YouTube, drop a comment, drop a like. Let us know that you are listening and watching. It helps engagement a ton. And like Matt said, we're trying to post a little bit. We're starting to, the wheels are moving on.
Slowly but surely.
On shorts and all short form content. Thanks to our new member. Big shout out again, Ebats. Thanks for joining, and thanks for helping out behind the scenes.
Exactly.
So yeah, look forward to a lot more short form content. And like we mentioned before, we do have a Discord. We try to do different things. So for example, we've been doing an anime watch along.
Yep.
We're currently watching Flying Witch. And we have a section of our Discord that you can join and discuss that anime, and also request different anime. We also have a question corner. We don't have any questions today, but feel free to ask us questions and we will answer them. Other than that,
thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
We'll
and
see you next Wednesday.
See you guys next week.
Bye-o.
Goodbye.
Cue the outro.
TNMP, the Nerdy Misfit Podcast. Don't forget to join the island by dropping a follow. Thank you, and see you next week.